Buenas tardes, raza. ¿Cómo están? Ay, este cafecito está bien bueno y afuera está bien caliente. But it's a beautiful day in the south of Texas. How is everybody today? Yo quiero cafecear con ustedes. You know, en veces nos da risa, pero hay gente que es bien ventanera. You know what that means? That means that there's people that are always at the window picking up the mini blind and looking outside. Not necessarily mingling with other people, but just being nosy. And we have a bunch of mediocre influencers around here that are so worried about whether something costs my sister and me or whether it doesn't cost us. Now, everybody else in the United States knows that nothing is free. Everybody else in the United States knows that nothing is free. You know, my little sister invested 30 years of her life taking care of our mother. I'm not saying that our mother was physically incapable of taking care of herself. But our mother was a young widow at 40. Our dad died at 45, a few days before he was 45. And he'd passed away like a month before she was 40. So we grew up with both parents up until I was like 14 and Ophelia must have been 12. But the whole thing is that we were migrant farm workers or whatever. We did what we had to do to keep moving forward. And our dad had already left my mom a house and stuff, so she was a homeowner, which meant that she still had to pay taxes at the end of the year. So she had to figure out how she was going to get money to keep moving forward with 5 children that she was left with that were all under 18. And to pay everything that she needed to pay in that house because she had utilities, she had food that she had to pay and stuff. So let's go forward some years. Ophelia and I get married. Ophelia gets married. But Ophelia tells mom to go with her. So mom goes to live with Ophelia. And my mom, being a person that knew how to make money, I mean, she only had a second grade education, but that doesn't mean anything. Not in the United States. When you have the willpower to want to move forward, that doesn't mean anything. Whether you have college or not, whether you have a master's degree or not, whether you have an associate's in arts or not, whether you have a bachelor's or not. You have to have willpower. I mean, you can have all these things, including a master's, and not have the willpower to go and work. So our mom had a second grade education, but she still had the willpower to become a owner of a restaurant, a owner of a bakery, a owner of a tortilla factory, and she kept going forward. But for 30 years, she lived with Ophelia and her family. So the house that was left to her, she left it to her grandkids, Ophelia's kids. And that's where my sister Ophelia lives. These people are so worried about, but that house didn't cost Ophelia anything. Oh, yes, it did. Ophelia took care of our mother for 30 years. Yes, it did. somehow, it's irrelevant if our mom was her babysitter. It's irrelevant if our mom was always there taking care of her and her kids. It's irrelevant. Ofelia still took care of our mother her way for more than 30 years. But these people want to be so nosy about everything that happens and revolves around our lives. And they keep pestering and pestering and pestering, even petty stuff. I'm surprised they haven't come and tried to do something to the goose that's outside in my yard. And I think the only reason that they can't is because she hides. She owns those 5 lots. She knows where the 2 doors are to the kennels, and she can get lost in those kennels because I have 2 kennels that are like 20 by 20s. And at some point I wanted to have dogs, but I didn't want them all over the yard. I wanted them in kennels because I didn't want them tied up neither. So when I put a fence up in this house, I put 2 kennels, and then I even made a side on the side of my carport, because this house used to have gas and there was a gas meter back there, and I didn't want the dogs or whatever was in my backyard to mess with the person if that person had to come here. So I made another, like a kennel, a smaller kennel there. But it's funny to me how they're so nosy and involved in our business that they don't take care of theirs. It's like, it doesn't matter. Can't you just be positive and give somebody some nice advice? Hey, go get some sun. If you don't have nothing to do, sit on your porch, drink some coffee, count the cars that are passing by. See if they're going to pass, if the same car is going to pass by your house twice in an hour or whatever that you're going to do today. Make it a positive point in your life if you're going to walk around the block. But why are you so worried if my sister's running with her puppies or her dogs, because they're not puppies anymore, around her yard? That's her business. It's like surprising to me that these people even want to get into that type of back and forth with her. It's like, I don't have dogs in my yard, but I have a goose that owns that yard and has owned it for 8 years. I've had that goose in that yard for 8 years. So, of course, I worry about that bird being comfortable. I buy a swimming pool for it every year. I make sure that it eats every day. And I call her every morning, hey, where are you? And she comes running. Why? Because that's my pet. When I wasn't here, when I was working in Del Rio, I was paying my neighbor to come across the street and feed that bird and make sure that that bird was comfortable. I left the water on so that bird could have her swimming pool, because it's a girl, her swimming pool filled, and so that she could be fed. And I didn't mind paying because I was making good money, until the haters got in and came and caused a ruckus at my house. It's like, really, on something that is legal in the United States. We were having a hocus pocus show, and they decided that we were doing witchcraft on them. But what is Halloween about if it's not about witchcraft and stuff? And it's like, it's legal in the United States and everywhere in the world. All Hallows Eve is legal, but they still are sitting on the papers. We still haven't gone to court, and they're still costing me money. So it's like, it's a good thing I had saved the money. But that's not costing them. And they are being nosy on things that are not of any importance to them in their lives. But that's how nosy people, ventaneras, are. They like to be at the window and be nosy on everybody else's business. But I want you all to enjoy the rest of your day. Tengan un buen día, Rosa. Disfruten el día con la familia.